materials. So the topic of the day is that application of elastic behavior of material. So here we will discuss about that what is actually the elastic behavior and how they are applied in our routine life or in the scientific world. So this is application of elastic behavior of materials. This is the last topic of this chapter. After that we will discuss the numericals of this chapter. So first of all, we want to understand that what is the elastic behavior and how they are applied in our day-to-day routine life. So the elastic behavior of materials plays an important role in everyday life. All engineering designs require precise knowledge of elastic behavior. So first of all, we can say that in engineering designs, it is used. So all engineering designs require precise knowledge of elastic behavior of materials. For example, while designing a building, so like design of building or bridges, we need to know the elastic behavior of material. So for example, while designing a building, the structural design of the columns, beams and supports require knowledge of strength of material used. Have you ever thought why the beams used in the construction of bridge are supports are in the shape of I? So why they are I shape? Their shape of I is a matter of thought, that why it is always of I shape. So have you ever thought why the beam used in a construction of bridges as supports etc. have a cross section of type I? Why does heap of sand or a hill have a pyramid shape? Yes, this is also a very nice question to think over it. That why the hills or the top of any that hill or a heap of sand are having that type of pyramid shape? Answer to these questions can be obtained from the study of structural engineering, which is based on a concept of developed here. Crane used for lifting and moving heavy loads from one place to another have a thick metal rope to which the load is attached. So here we can say that when cranes lift load, they are having a metallic rope which are attached to it. Now the rope is pulled by using pulleys and motors. Suppose we want to make a crane which has a lifting capacity of 10 tons or a metric tons, that is 1 metric ton is equals to 1000 kilogram. How thick should the steel rope be? Obviously want that the load does not deform the rope permanently, and therefore the extension should not exceed the elastic limit. So we can say that from our previous knowledge, and if we are given the information, we find that the mild steel has a yield strength of about 3300 into 10 to the power 6 Newton per meter square, and thus the area of cross section of the rope should be at least A must be greater than or equals to W over Sy. So here we can say that the mild steel has yielding strength of about 300 into 10 to the power 6 Newton per meter square. And now we want the cross section area of a rope. So we know that A should be greater than or equals to W over strength. So here we can say that in place of this W we can say that A must be greater than or equals to mg over Sy. So if we put all the values together, we can say that is equals to A must be equals to or greater than, that is, suppose we have considered the mass, that is about 10 to the power 4 kilogram. So we say that here 10 to the power 4 kilogram. G is always taken as a 10 meter per second, and Sy that we have just considered, that is 300 into 10 to the power 6. So here we will get the answer as about 3.3 into 10 to the power minus 4 meter square. So we can say that the cross section area of the steel rope should be around this, that corresponding to radius of about 1 centimeter for a rope of a circular cross section, and that is generally a large margin of safety of about a factor of 10 in the load is provided. Thus a thicker rope of radius about 3 centimeter is recommended. So about 3 centimeter thickness is recommended. A single wire of this radius would practically be a rigid rod. So the ropes are always made of a number of thin wires braided together. So I think you must have observed this also, that the wires or the ropes are always made by this threading. Now for this manufactural condition, we can say that the rope are always made as a number of thin wires braided together like in a pigtails for ease in manufacture, flexibility and strength. In the same way, a bridge has to be designed such that it can withstand the load of the flowing traffic, the force of winds and its own weight. Similarly, in the design of building, use of beams and columns is very common. In both the cases, the overcoming of problem of bending of beam under the load is of prime importance. The beam should not bend too much or break. So let us consider the case of beam loaded at the center and support near its end as shown here in the figure below. So I would like to show the figure below, in which we will show that how the bending can be overcome. So initially, suppose we have one metallic object or a rod of, suppose, say length L. Now suppose we suspend some of the load below it. So when the load is supposed to kept under it or suspend below it, we found a particular type of nature of bending in the material. So in that condition, we can say that we found this type of bending inside the material in the rod, and this is nothing but the bending of the material. We can say that the material has a bending of about delta in it, and due to the suspension of load W, this occurs. So a beam supported at the end and loaded at the center. So let us consider the case of beam loaded at the center and support near its end as shown in figure. A bar of length L, say breadth B and depth D, is supported when loaded at the center by load W. The bending of the material is given by, that is delta is given by W L cube over 4B D cube into Y. So here B is a breadth of the material, we can consider over here. So this is the B case. So now this relation can be derived using what you have already learned and a little calculus. Now from this above equation, we see that to reduce the bending for a given load, one should use a material with a large Young modulus Y. For a given material, increasing the depth D rather than the breadth B is more effective in reducing the bending, since bending is proportional to 1 upon D cube and only to B inverse. Of course, the length of the span should be small as possible, but on increasing the depth, unless the load is exactly at the right place, which is difficult to arrange in the bridge with moving traffic, the deep bar may bend as shown in figure below. So sometimes the bending may be very difficult, that it is not exactly from the center, but it can be also like as shown in the another figure that I can show. Suppose the rod is like this with breadth B. Now this is the depth D as given, but if the load is not uniformly distributed, we can say that it will bend like this, and which is very dangerous for the case of moving traffic. So to avoid this, a common compromise is the cross-sectional shape shown and in I shape. So if this cross section is kept in I shape, if we use the I shape material, then we can say that this problem can be overcome. So this type of section provides a large load bearing surface and enough depth to prevent bending. This shape reduces the weight of the beam without sacrificing the strength and hence reduce the cost as well. Now, use of pillars or columns is also very common in building and bridges. A pillar with rounded end as shown in figure you can see if these pillars are just like this, if the pillars are just a rounded shape, it is not useful. A pillar with rounded ends as shown in figure supports less load than with a distributed shape at the ends. So if in place of this type of shape, if we make shape to be like this and this, it is more useful. So the precise design of a bridge or a building has to take into an account the condition under which it will function, the cost and long period, reliability of usable materials, etc. So if we have pillars in a column, it is little bit difficult, but a pillar with a rounded ends, this is given, and pillar with a distributed end, that is given in figure B. So we can say that if it is just a rounded, it cannot bear a more load, but if this is in the shape as given in a B, it can bear more load. So this is also the usage or applications of elastic behavior of materials. And now we will move towards the making of hills or ascent. We can say that the hills are how they are made. Now the answer to the question why the maximum height of a mountain on earth is about a 10 km can also be provided by considering the elastic properties of rocks. A mountain base is not under uniform compression, and this provides some shearing stress to the rocks under which they can flow. The stress due to all the materials on the top should be less than the critical shearing stress at which the rocks flow. At the bottom of the mountain of height h, the force per unit area due to weight of the mountain is rho gh. So we can say that for the case of mountain, in case of mountain, we can say that the stress or the force per unit area due to weight of the mountain. So force per unit area, we can simply say force per unit area, that is also called pressure, which is equals to rho gh. So it is equals to rho gh, where h is height of the mountain and g is the acceleration due to gravity, and rho is the density of the material of the mountain. The material at the bottom experience this force in the vertical direction, and the sides of the mountain are free. Therefore, this is not a case of pressure or bulk compression. So here suppose we consider that if we consider it as a pressure, this cannot be only the case of the pressure or bulk compression. There is a shear component, approximately rho gh itself. Now the elastic limit for a typical rock is 30 into 10 to the power 7 Newton per meter square. Equating this to rho gh with rho equals to 3 into 10 to the power 3 kilogram per meter cube gives, that is a rho gh is equals to, for a typical mountain, is about h rho g is equals to 30 into 10 to the power 7. Now we want to find the h. So this is 30 into 10 to the power 7. The density is considered as 3 into 10 to the power 3, and G is considered as about 10 meter per second square. We can conclude this to be about a 10 kilometer. So, which is more than the height of Mount Everest. So actually the Mount Everest has the longest height or the tallest mountain in the world, but it is also of the not of the 10-kilometer itself. So here we can see that how the hills can also be formed. So this is from the chapter, and we have discussed about the application of elastic behavior of materials.